One. Hello, students and parents. We are going to be talking about two-digit multiplication today, where both factors are 2 digits. I'm going to show you two different methods to solve the problem, one that you are probably more familiar with and one that is great for simplifying the math and adding a different kind of visual organization to the different factors and partial products. First thing, let's have a quick review of the terms we're going to be using today before we look at today's big problem. So the first one is going to be factor. I've already said it a couple of times. That is one of the numbers you are multiplying, also called the multiplier. So if our problem would be 4 times 5 equals 20, 4 and 5 would be the factors or multipliers in that problem. The second word is product. That is simply the answer to a multiplication problem. So in this one, number 20, that would be our product. The last word that's going to be important to understand is partial product. So when we multiply factors with non-zero digits in the tens, hundreds, or beyond, we're going to multiply each place value separately first and then add those partial products together to get the final product. We're going to talk about that more. Let's take a look at the word problem. So a school district is ordering buses for a field trip. If each school bus seats 82 passengers and the district plans to order 34 buses, how many seats are there on the bus? So for this problem, we are going to need to multiply the number of buses by the number of seats or passengers available on each bus. So these two things here, those numbers are going to be our factors. So here is our problem written out for us to solve. It is nicely organized. Our ones are stacked, our tens are stacked, and we are ready to solve. We are going to start by multiplying the ones digit in the first factor by the ones digit in the second factor. 4 times 2 equals 8, and we are writing an 8 right there in the ones place. Next, we're going to multiply the tens digit in the first factor by the ones digit in the second factor. 3 tens times 2 is 6 tens, so we're going to add a 6 here in the tens place. 68 is our first partial product. Next, we need to multiply the first factor by the tens in the second factor. The second factor is 82, which can be written, of course, as 80 plus 2. This is why we're going to add a 0 right here, because we've already multiplied the ones here. We're done with that ones, and now we're working in tens. So the 0 makes sure that we understand that we are multiplying by 80, not just 8. So now we'll continue on multiplying the ones digit in the first factor by the tens digit in the second factor. 4 times 8 tens is 32 tens. I'm going to write the 2 here in the tens place, but I'm not ready to fill in the hundreds place yet. What I'm going to do is carry it up here in the hundreds place there. Now we'll multiply the tens digit in the first factor by the tens digit in the second factor. Remember, what we're really multiplying here is 30 by 80, which is why we needed that placeholder down here. So 3 tens times 8 tens is 24 tens plus the 300 up here. So that's 27. Again, we're really multiplying 30 times 80, which is 2400. And then we have that 300 from before. So we're going to add that 300, which is 2700. So when we're putting it in here, we want to make sure that our 7 is in the hundreds place and our 2 is in the thousands place. So that everything is lined up, we know our number is going to be accurate. So 22,720 is our second partial product. The final step here, of course, is to add these two partial products together, which we can do easily. 8 plus 0 is 8. 6 plus 2 is 8. 7 plus 0 and 2 plus 0. We can drop those two numbers down, so our final product is 2,788 passengers can fit on 34 buses. If you're a parent watching, that is likely the method of multiplication you were taught. If you are using the same process for 3 or 4 or 5 digit multiplication, that can be carried on in much the same manner. You're just going to have more lines and far more columns and more place values. I'd like to show you a different method called the lattice method here. We're going to take the same problem and solve it a different way. So we're going to start, because both of our factors have 2 digits, we're going to start by drawing a 2 by 2 box or table like this. And then we're going to add our factors on the top and on the side, and each digit is going to have its own column or its own row. So here's our 34, and here will be our 82. Next, we're going to add diagonal lines, and that's going to make our lattice like this by connecting those corners. You have a straight edge that can be helpful too, just like that. Now we're going to multiply. You can do this in any order with this method, but I'd like to start with the ones just like we do in the traditional method. So 4 times 2 is 8, so we are going to add an 8 right here. If you want to, you can add a 0, though it's not necessary. Next, we're going to multiply the 4 times the 8, which is 32. Notice how I'm going to write the product here. 1 digit per triangle there in that one quadrant of our larger table. 1 digit goes in each triangle. Let's move on. We're going to multiply this 3 then by this 2, and that is 6. So we're going to write a 6 here. And again, you could write a 0 here, though you don't need to. Lastly, we're going to fill in this final quadrant, which is a 3 times 8, which is 24. Again, I'll write one number in each one of the quadrants. So that's 24, each one of those triangles, rather. Okay, so now that we have our grid filled out, we're going to add the numbers in each diagonal column to get the digits of our final product. So here we can just bring that 2 right over. We have 3 plus 4 plus 0 here is 7. 2 plus 0 plus 6 is 8. And then this 8 is here, and you'll see that our final product is 2,788 passengers, just like when we use the other method. So let's talk about why this works. When we went through the traditional method, we took very special care to make sure that our place values were aligned. The lattice method really works much the same way. It's just a different way to organize those place values. Each of these diagonal columns represents a different place value. So this column here is the ones. We'll write ones here. This one here is the tens, as you can see in our answer. This one is our hundreds place. And this one on top here, of course, is our thousands place. So when we multiplied 4 and 8, we were really multiplying 4 by 80 because, of course, that 82 is 80 plus 2. So that 32 that we got there is 4 times 80, which is 320. So that's why we have a 3 here in the hundreds place and a 2 in the tens place. Similarly, when we multiply 3 times 2, we were multiplying 30 times 2, which is really 60, hence our 6 being there in the tens place. Lastly, when we multiplied 3 and 8, we were really multiplying 30 by 80, which we did before in the other one. That was 2,400. So we have a 2 in the thousands place and a 4 in the hundreds place. So when we add each place value, just like when we did in the traditional method, we had slightly different numbers to add up, but we did it much the same, that we got a collection of partial products and we added those together to get our final product. So try both of these methods at home. See which one you're more comfortable with, which one makes more sense. You can also use it as a way to self-check your work. If you try something with the traditional method and you're not sure what the product is, use the lattice method and see if you get the same product, and you might be right. If not, then you could try to figure out where you went wrong. Thank you so much for watching.